Welcome back to Sip and Talk. We're here again, ready to break down some complex stuff for the things you've shared with us.
Exactly. Trying to make it clear, maybe even a little fun.
And hopefully give you that shortcut to, feeling like you really get it.
And maybe drop a few surprises in there, too.
So today, we're getting into something pretty fascinating and, honestly, a bit puzzling.
Mm-hmm.
It's this idea, sometimes called the Great China Complex, among, certain Chinese people in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Particularly the group known as Waishengren.
Yeah, it really is a paradox when you look at it.
Yeah.
You've got people in Taiwan, and they still have this, deep yearning for China. But the China that exists today, it looks almost nothing like the one they remember or the one they sort of picture in their heads.
It's like living in two places at once. Their feet are in Taiwan, but their hearts are somewhere else, somewhere in the past.
Totally. So we're going to try and unpack that, why the deep longing and maybe more provocatively, how the actual word China might have been, let's say weaponized.
Okay, let's start with the history, set the scene a bit.
Yeah.
Because understanding the Waishengren experience is key here.
Right.
So Waishengren, it literally means people from outside provinces.
Yeah.
We're mostly talking about the folks who came over to Taiwan with the KMT, the Kuomintang, back in 1949.
And crucially, this wasn't let's move somewhere new. It was a flight. They were escaping a brutal civil war, and they were genuinely scared of the incoming communist regime.
Absolutely. And the mindset wasn't, okay, Taiwan is home now. It was more like, this is temporary, right? We're just here for a bit. We'll go back. We'll rebuild China. That was the dream, the unfinished China dream.
Yeah.
It totally shaped how they saw Taiwan initially.
Just a temporary stop, not the final destination.
Exactly.
And that creates this really deep, almost spiritual connection to their idea of China.
Yeah, and for a lot of the older generation, when they say China, they are definitely not talking about the PRC, the Communist Party's China today.
No way. They're thinking about the villages they grew up in, maybe family they had to leave behind, that the culture they learned from books, the land of etiquette, the 5,000 years of history, that sort of thing.
It's like remembering someone you loved when you were young.
Yeah.
It might be completely different now, unrecognizable even.
But that memory, that feeling, it's powerful. It's so hard to just let go of that emotional, cultural connection to their China. It's almost separate from today's politics for them.
Which brings us into that reality gap we mentioned. Because, you listening might be thinking, hang on, today's China's different. The Communist Party has changed things massively. People believes the whole system. And yeah, you'd be right.
It's a huge contrast. I mean, think about it. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, severely limited. The party controls education, the media, what patriotism even means.
And history gets rewritten, doesn't it? Events like Tiananmen Square, the Cultural Revolution, they're either erased or spun in a very specific way.
Right, and that creates this atmosphere of, distrust, cynicism even. So for someone holding on to that older image of China, going back or even just looking at it now, it feels alien. The people seem different. The values feel off. Estranged.
So with that huge gap, you naturally get this generational disconnect.
Makes sense.
The first generation, the ones who came over in 49, they held on to that dream that imagined China. But they're kids. They're grandkids. They grew up in Taiwan.
A democratic Taiwan.
Exactly. They went to school there. They absorbed Taiwanese culture, democratic values. That's their reality.
So you've got this real tension inside families sometimes, right? This pull between the parents' or grandparents' emotional legacy, this idea of China, and the younger generation's actual lived experience in Taiwan.
And you see it in the numbers, too. Back in 1992, about a quarter of people, 25.5%, identified as Chinese.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2021, that number dropped to 2.4%. Tiny.
Wow, that's a huge shift.
Yeah. And in that same year, 2021, nearly 64% identified as Taiwanese. So for most people, especially younger ones, there's no question, Taiwan is home.
Which leads us to that paradox, the really curious part.
Right. If some still feel Chinese deep down and they have this affection for China, why not just move there, to the PRC?
Yeah, it seems logical, doesn't it? But I think it clicks when you realize their China isn't the actual place on the map today.
It's an idea.
It's an idea, an emotional thing. They're thinking of, beautiful landscapes like Yellow Mountain from paintings, not the reality of surveillance cameras everywhere.
So when they say I'm Chinese, it's more about heritage, ancestry, culture.
Pretty much. It's usually not a political statement saying, yeah, I want to live under the CCP or I want to give up the freedoms I have in Taiwan. Absolutely not.
So they live in Taiwan physically, But mentally, they might still be partly in that Republic of China on the mainland idea, the one that lost the Civil War.
Yeah, and maybe it's also a bit of a psychological defense. Like, even if they know China lacks freedom, saying, I'm Chinese, protects that connection to family history, to a past glory, maybe.
And maybe a fear of being called a traitor
Wow.
if they completely cut ties with the idea.
That could be part of it, too, definitely. Plus, let's be honest, just practical stuff. Taiwan's quality of life is objectively very high.
Oh, yeah. Healthcare, free speech, air quality is generally better, rule of law.
Personal freedom. Why would you trade that? Moving to the PRC today, for most people used to Taiwan's system, would feel like,
Asking for trouble.
Yeah, pretty much asking for trouble.
It reminds me of, sometimes you hear older folks watching CCTV, the state channel, and they'll say, wow, look how advanced the mainland is, the buildings, the trains.
The shiny surface.
Right. And you just want to gently show them, like, screenshots from Weibo, the social media over there, where ordinary people are actually talking about, the frustrations, the lockdowns, the lack of recourse. It's a whole different picture behind the propaganda.
A vastly different picture. And that really forces the question, doesn't it? What is this China that people are talking about? Is it just culture? Is it the actual country? Or is it something else entirely?
For that older generation, it seems like it often functions as a powerful cultural symbol, right?
Definitely. It's abstract, it's emotional, it's the classical poetry, the stories of loyalty, like from Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Confucian ideas, maybe just the taste of food from their hometown or an accent.
Like a cultural utopia in their minds.
Yeah, exactly. It's intensely personal, deeply felt, but it doesn't really exist in that pure form in the real world anymore. It's a memory filtered through time.
Okay, so that's one layer. Then there's the other, China, the actual nation state, the PRC.
Right, the People's Republic of China.
RIP?
Ruled by the Communist Party.
Right.
It has borders, passports, a massive surveillance state, and that assertive wolf warrior diplomacy we hear about.
This is the China that cracks down on Hong Kong, that imposes lockdowns, that pushes its weight around internationally.
Absolutely. And this China, it is worlds apart from that idealized cultural image the older generation might hold on to.
And then there's this third idea, which is really intriguing, describing China today as this kind of hybrid, deformed monster.
It's a striking way to put it, but it captures something, doesn't it? Like, imagine taking that cultural shell, the history, the traditions, and then overlaying it with the current communist political system, mixing in a heavy dose of nationalistic sentiment and adding whatever thought residue is left from the past.
Wow. So it's like...
Someone described it as a totalitarian beast dressed in traditional Hanfu robes, quoting Confucius one minute, using social credit scores and censoring the internet the next.
So this China isn't the ideal they remember, but it's also obviously not a democracy. It's just hard to pin down, a strange mix.
Exactly. It defies easy labels.
So summing up that part, the China we're talking about in this context, the one held in the hearts of some Waishengren, it isn't just culture, and it isn't just the current nation.
It seems more like a fantasy, maybe, processed through a memory filter. And that fantasy is now kind of twisting and warping as it bumps up against the reality of the modern PRC, becoming something,
Right.
well, monstrous, as that description suggested.
Makes you wonder, maybe they don't actually love China today. Maybe they love a ghost, a phantom of a China that's long gone.
That's a really powerful, maybe sad way to think about it.
Yeah. And it sets up our next big question, which feels critical. Has the Chinese Communist Party actually managed to, weaponize the word China itself?
I think there's a very strong case to be made that, yes, absolutely, China used to be, a name for a place, a culture, a history.
Right.
But under the CCP, it's been deliberately reshaped. It's become an ideological tool, a weapon, really.
How so? What does that look like?
Well, they use it to shut down criticism, to create this image of absolute unity, to hide the authoritarian reality, and crucially, to play on people's nationalistic feelings.
Okay, so the first layer is kind of like linguistic hijacking.
That's a great way to put it. Linguistic kidnapping, yeah. The CCP has been incredibly successful at making people equate China, the nation, the culture, the people, with the Communist Party regime itself.
So if you criticize the party, you're immediately accused of insulting China or being anti-China. There's no separation allowed.
And supporting, say, Hong Kong's autonomy or Tibet or Taiwan.
That becomes splitting China, endangering national security. It's this built-in intimidation. You basically can't criticize the government without being framed as an enemy of the entire Chinese nation and people. It shuts down debate.
Okay, that's one layer. What else?
Then there's layer two, really leaning into nationalism, using China as an emotional trigger.
Like the wolf warrior stuff. The Chinese people won't stand for this kind of rhetoric.
Exactly that. Or if Chinese people living overseas criticize the CCP, what happens? They get labeled traitors.
Yeah.
Hanjian.
And any criticism from other countries, it's instantly framed as an attack on all Chinese people, on the whole civilization, designed to whip up anger and nationalist pride. China becomes this like nationalistic bomb they can set off whenever they need to rally support or deflect criticism.
Okay, so language hijacking, then weaponizing nationalism. What's layer three?
International manipulation, using the representation of China as diplomatic leverage.
You mean like getting into the UN in 1971 as the only China?
Precisely, kicking out the Republic of China, which was Taiwan's government. From then on, the PRC used its position and the One China principle to squeeze Taiwan out of international organizations.
Forcing them to use names like Chinese Taipei.
Right. It extends even to culture. Think about things like the Confucius Institutes. They present Chinese culture, but it's very much the CCP's version of Chinese culture packaged for export. So China becomes this tool in their foreign policy toolbox.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there a fourth layer?
Yeah, and this one's internal, using China for suppression and thought control within the country.
How does that work?
Well, think about any group perceived as separatist Tibetans, Uyghurs in Xinjiang, people in Hong Kong, obviously Taiwan. The party defines China as this unified, indivisible territory.
And challenging that is?
Treason! Full stop. They drill this message constantly. No Communist Party, no new China. So love the country gets twisted into love the party.
So if you're anti-party...
You're anti-country, which means you're basically a criminal, an enemy. China becomes this ideological cage. If you don't accept their definition, you're out. You're a threat. It's really insidious when you break it down.
Can you give some specific examples of how this plays out?
Sure. Remember the huge protests in Hong Kong against the extradition bill? How did the CCP frame that?
As splitting China. Right. Foreign interference.
Exactly. Not as a fight for promised freedoms. Or think about Taiwan trying to participate in the World Health Organization, especially during a pandemic.
The CCP blocks them every time, saying Taiwan is a province of China.
Right. Putting politics way ahead of global health. Or artists, singers, actors, filmmakers. If they say or do something the party doesn't like, even subtly,
they get labeled insulting China.
Yeah.
Their work disappears. Like Anita Mui's portrayal in a film or songs by Lizzie just banished from streaming. It forces everyone else to self-censor.
Totally. Or remember businesses. If a company's website or map listed Taiwan as a country, the CCP would threaten boycotts. Huge pressure.
Yeah, I remember that with airlines and hotels too.
It's all about controlling that narrative, controlling what China means down to the last detail.
Wow. So putting it all together, it really does seem like the word China, it's not just a name anymore.
No, it feels like it's been turned into, political blackmail, a linguistic trap, an ideological weapon. Use the word, and you might be forced into accepting their definition, their control.
It's a lot to take in. And, just to be clear, here on Sip and Talk, we're really trying to just lay out the facts, encourage you to think for yourself.
Absolutely. We're not here to bash any country or any group of people, just trying to understand the dynamics, the information that's out there.
Right. Objectively exploring it and thinking about all this.
Yeah.
It leaves us with a really big question to chew on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If China, the word, the concept, has been so effectively weaponized by the CCP, how can Chinese culture be reclaimed? How can it be separated from the party's political agenda?
Ooh, that's deep. Like, could Taiwan, with its democracy and its preservation of many traditional things, could it actually become the place that safeguards cultural China, separate from the PRC?
It's definitely a thought worth sipping on.
For sure.
And while you're sipping, hey, don't forget to subscribe to Sip and Talk wherever you get your podcasts.
Please do. And also, seriously, you should check out our friend Mickey's YouTube channel. It's called Mickytolife.
Oh, yeah, Mickey.
He does great stuff, fun memes, music, he tastes wine, travel vlogs. He's actually off exploring Europe right now.
Is he? Lucky him.
Yeah. He described it as his great mission of anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
So, classic Mickey. We can't wait to see the videos he comes back with.
Definitely looking forward to that. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, folks.
We'll catch you next time on Sip and Talk.